Well,
So,
yeah, let's do that. I'm going to record that way you can go back to it. So we will go through the steps of fabricating a midterm, and I'll do it in Canvas specifically. So I'm going to share my screen, and so you should see my screen.
yep, I
All right.
do.
So we'll go into quizzes, because again, this is just, they simplify it. Instead of calling everything a test or an assessment, they just do it as a quiz. In the top right, you're going to see plus quiz, and so you just press on the button. We're just going to do a classic quiz. And now you have the format for how to do it. So under the assignment group, I don't have tests yet, which is fine. So I'll just assign it later because it's not going to be a quiz. So I'll go through that part in a little bit. But let's start with the basic. We'll call it midterm. And I'm actually going to do this as if it's my midterm, and that way
Okay.
you'll see my actual thinking. So I'll just say midterm, and this is where I'll put the parameters. Okay, you will have 90 minutes. And I always give them more time because, generally students are supposed to give you some documentation if they need an accommodation of some sorts, because you have students, out of 40 students, I'm guessing that a couple of them have some learning disabilities, and generally they would go through the disability colleague to get that verification, then present it to me, etc. But I give them much more time than they need to complete the exam, and that way there's really no issue, and I can always go back in and adjust that after the fact. But for now, I'll say you will have 90. Go ahead, John.
No, I'm sorry. It's just clearing my throat.
Okay. You'll have 90 minutes and one attempt. I like to make that very clear because my smaller quizzes, my learning quizzes, are usually multiple attempts. So you'll have 90 minutes and one attempt to complete the midterm exam. Because they'll be able to read this before they start. The format will be a mix of short answer. I'll do some multiple choice, matching, and essay. The priority is for you to apply what you have learned rather than just memorization. It's a marketing class. There's a lot of facts and figures. There's a lot of terms that they need to know, so they're going to have to learn that stuff. But for the most part, I want them to apply. I want them to say, okay, this type of marketing would work well for this type of situation. And so that's where those essays are going to come in. Let's see, I will add, their format will be a mix of short answer, will be a mix of 20 multiple and essay questions. There we go. That way they kind of know that there's going to be a 20. You will have 5-day, have the week of, let's see, 5th, 19, October 24th, October 24th, to complete the exam. Make sure to start before 10 p.m. 10:30 p.m. on the last day because the exam will no longer be available after 11:59 p.m. on October 30th. I like to be very black and white with them so that they know what's going to go on.
Yeah.
Because you'll have students that will start it at 11 p.m. and then they are surprised that it locks them out at midnight.
Right.
And they only got 60 minutes to do it. So these are the instructions, very basic. So I can leave that there. Then I can just pop into the questions, and I can do question groups, or I can do find questions. I've never really done the find questions. I always create everything pretty much from scratch, just out of habit. Now I will draw from other questions that I've done in the past, but I'm going to do this from scratch just because I think it'll be more useful to you. So I'll do new question. And it's going to say, it's going to give you the option of putting whatever in that first box. I just put 1. And I'm going to start with the easier. Well, I'll do multiple choice. I guess that's the easiest. You adjust the number of points that it's worth, 2 points. I'm doing it out of 100. So I'll just do a couple of samples just to show you. Let's see. What are the 4 P's? 4 P's of the marketing mix. So that would be just a simple question. And then I'm going to do the correct answer. Product, place, price, promotion. And then these are the possible answers which are not correct. Now I'm just going to say pepperoni. I'll change this. Pepperoni, pasta, pizza. I don't know how to spell prosciutto. Pate. Can I do an accent? Yep, gives me an accent. There you go. This one will be more serious. Product, place, path, price. And I'll do one more. Price, posting, position, promotion. Of course, I'm not going to stick to these. Probably I'll come back and edit. So once you update the question, it'll be there. So it exists now. So that's one, question number 1. And now I can add a new one. And maybe I'll do one that's a little bit different. So I'm going to call it number 2. I'm going to choose true, false. I'm going to give it a value of 2 points. And simple question. Let's see. This will just be a fun one. Is the guest always right? It's always a fun one. Answer. Oop. Done. So you have to press on the arrow in order to identify what the correct response is.
I see.
So I'm going to say false. And I'll put some verbiage in there just to clarify. One thing that I'll go back to here, say for instance, you go back and you just want to make sure. So you have the correct answer right there, the arrow.
Yeah.
If I put the arrow here, it would tell the system that the right answer is pepperoni, pasta, pizza, and pate.
Right.
So the little arrow is what determines the response that the students are going to get if they get it correct or incorrect. So then you just update the question. Now let's do another type of question. I prefer to do more multiple choice, more essay or short answer. They don't give an option for short answer, so you just pick essay question. So everything becomes an essay question at that point. So for 5 points, it might be describe your favorite Super Bowl ad and why you think it was effective. So that's just a simple question. It's a low, it's 5 points, so it's 1/20th of their grade. So it's still something, but it's also not crazy. So that's just a simple one. And then I could do something more significant as an essay question and maybe put it as a 20-pointer. In this essay, you will speak on the following. I'm not going to put the actual thing in there because it doesn't matter at this point, but the stakes are higher because it's 1/5 of the grade. And I would say provide 5 examples, which helps with the grading. Provide 5 examples. Please be detail oriented. And then I'm going to provide as much structure as I can for them so that they know what to do. Please be detail oriented, and actually I'm going to do 5 examples numbered. That way, as I'm grading, I can go through each one. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So that is just a more extensive or bigger essay question. And it's not, it is keeping a tally right now. So it says 29 points. So you know that if you're going up to 100, you need to add some more things, some more questions. What I will generally do with this is I will do maybe 5 2-point questions. I'll do maybe 4 to 6 5-point questions, and then the rest will be essay, because I want them to focus on the application of the material rather than just regurgitation of the material.
Right.
So ultimately, and then I'll do a bonus. So I'll make that pretty evident. Bonus, and that'll be worth 5 points. So total, they could get 105 points on the final exam if they get the bonus. I don't know, I'll come up with something, but it'll be something related to, what could be the 5th P of the marketing mix? And that could just be, it's not a gimme, but it's definitely a question that they could get. You don't have to do anything special in terms of the grading because, it'll add up to 105, but if they don't get the bonus, they don't get the 5 points. So it doesn't mess up your math at all. And then when this comes out in the grade book, it'll have whatever weight that you want it to have. So I'm going to save it, and I'm going to look into, so it's unpublished. It has the directions, tells me that there's not enough points. But I'm going to go into the assignments and look at it from a math perspective. So here we have the midterm. It's just kind of floating in the assignments area because it didn't have its own group. So I'm going to create a new group. I'm going to call it midterm. And I'm going to make it pretty low stakes. It's going to be 5% of their final grade. So now I've saved that. That means that I'm over my total for the, what would add up to a final grade for the course. So I need to take that 5 from somewhere else. Let's see, group projects, no. Discussions, maybe. Participation, quizzes. I think I'll take it away from assignments, because right now I don't need that much. So I'm going to assignment groups weight. I'm going to change this to 25. Go down to midterm, it's got 5, and I'm back to 101. So this midterm, I'm going to move all the way down to its own area. Move up the whole thing. Yeah. And there we go. It's it has its own grouping within the assignments area, and it has its value at 5%. So now it's logged in, you know, as part of the course that the students will have to participate in. Let's see. How can I expand this a little bit to explain? Oh, okay. So you said something about how do you load up the questions. So that was the just us entering it, just typing it in.
Right.
You do have the option, this is probably less encouraged because it's going to actually make more work for you, but you could do the approach where, and I know some professors have done this, they'll just load up their exam as a file, and they'll expect the students to download it, fill it out, and then submit it as a document. So if you
Oh, I
had,
see.
yeah, so if you had a Word document, you could upload it as a file, you know, have it appear on a certain day and only be available for, you know, so many days. Student downloads it, and then they answer the questions as if they were in class writing it. And then the finished version, they send it to, they upload it as, you would use the assignment function for that, and that could be their exam. So actually, I'll replicate that just for, I'm sure I have a final somewhere. Yeah, I do. So under midterm, actually, I'm just going to go to the regular pages. I'm going to put assignment. So I hit the plus assignment. Now I'm going to call it M1. I don't know why there'd be more than one. I'll just call it M, midterm. And this would be the same instructions, but I'll say on October 24th, you will be able to download your midterm exam. This will be a doc file that you will fill out on your own, and submit no later than Sunday, October 30th, 11:59 p.m. Now the difference here is that they could take as much time as they want with it, you know, because you can't, you know, once they download it and then they could upload it, it's not like the midterm format that we just went through, which is 90 minutes, you know, which will be limited, which I have to go back to. I didn't show you how to do the timing on it. But here they would download it, but they could take as much time as you want. So if you don't care that they take as much time as they want, then that would work out pretty well. So your 14 students, they could download it as a file, and then fill it out in their own time, and then just submit it as basically an assignment by the end of the week. So I'm going to put it under midterm. Points, file upload, so they would have to upload the file. Maybe limit the attempts so that they could only turn it in once. And let's see, and then you'd put the deadline, October 30th. Did I get that wrong? 24. Yeah, I must have gotten that wrong. That's fine. So you put up whatever the deadline is, and you save. And so this, simply put, you would give them a file and they would submit it. So if you didn't want to recreate your test, if you already have it formatted, then this would be that option.
Okay. And again, this is being recorded.
Yes.
Okay, good. Okay, this is very helpful. Now, you said that you were going to backtrack for something, or maybe that's what you just did.
No, I'm going to backtrack and just show you. I'm going to show you how to put some more parameters on the midterm. So this is the one that we created first. This is the one that's in the system that they would actually log into, and they would have only 90 minutes to do. But we're gonna edit, because right now I didn't put any of those parameters. There is no time limit. So I'm in the edit mode right now, back into the same thing, the same midterm. And there's the time limit. And I'm going to put 90 minutes. I'm not allowing multiple attempts. Quiz responses, yes, they can see those. That's fine. And then the deadline would be, for some reason, I keep saying October 24th. I'm just off by a day. So the parameters are pretty clear. It opens, actually, I'm going to make it available by starting on October 20th at 12 a.m. So first thing in the morning. And then it'll no longer be available after October 24th at midnight. Okay. So that way it only opens up for a certain window, and that's pretty useful. So 90 minutes. So it'll open up whenever they start it. They have 90 minutes. They have to finish it in one sitting, and then it'll expire. It'll automatically submit. Now the trick with this, which is something to keep in mind, is you're automatically going to have some students that are going to mess it up. They could have an internet issue. They could have a cat issue. They could have, something that happens where they can't finish. And so as a result, you need to be in a position to go back in and then open it back up to them, which you can resolve by reassigning it to them. You can clear whatever they've done, but that does get a little tricky. So, whenever it comes time for your midterm, if this is the way that you're going to do it, just let me know and I'll help you through that process, because it's not obvious, because you have to clear the one attempt and then open up a new attempt for them. But they'll let you know, if they have difficulty in getting through it the first time, they'll indicate that that's the case.
Right. Now, circling back a moment, there was a point where when you finished one of these versions, you said, okay, now I'm going to save it.
Right.
But you were going to come back to it because you didn't have enough points yet.
Right.
Right. So you saved, but that saving did not make it available to the students.
Correct.
That doesn't become available until you publish.
Right.
Because there are some things in Canvas where when you save, you're publishing.
Right.
And there are other things not. I think, for instance, announcements, when you save an announcement,
it goes right out to them.
It's published. The others are probably two-step. But that's one of the you know, if you were a copy editor editing Canvas and saying, what is counterintuitive here? You know,
Right.
how can this be made? You look for parallel, you know, in any kind of writing or editing, look for parallel construction, and this applies on steroids to a computer system. That's just, you know, it's just an aside that you can see that I'm learning.
Yeah.
I've
No,
picked up the,
I pretty much always save them and don't publish them until I'm ready. So I have
yeah,
a bunch of stuff that's already prepared for, you know, several weeks down the road, but I don't allow them to be even visible by the students, because if you publish them, even if you don't put them in a folder, they'll find them somehow. You
yeah,
know, I'll
oh
get
yeah.
emails from students. They're like, what about this, professor? I'm like, well, I wasn't done with that, but okay.
Well, I know. Well, when we did a test a few weeks ago.
Hmm.
I forget exactly what it was, but we just did something just to prove, you and I did, just to prove that we could do it.
Right.
And within 5 minutes, the student said, I don't understand what my instructions are on this. And I said, well, don't worry. That's Damien's up to that, you know.
Yeah.
But we planned. This is not of interest to the general recording public, but we were going to do a final check on this next Monday.
Yeah, we can still do that.
There's a session, and so I'll go ahead and figure out which way to go with this and get it loaded up. And I have a student uh, tester helper lined up for after you and I
Oh,
do
great.
everything, to make sure that because I told the students that I don't want them to have, and this is going to be synchronous.
Right.
So that's what's a little different from what we just talked about.
Oh, you're going to do it synchronous.
It will be, my course has to be fully synchronous. And so,
That's right.
so that's why the little trial on Monday afternoon is important, because I don't want, they're going to be timed when they log on Tuesday morning, they're going to be on the clock.
Okay.
And so I don't want them to be fumbling around and working with problems that can be detected ahead of time. Okay, so I don't know what time that, I guess that's a regularly scheduled class on Monday
On
afternoon.
Monday at 10?
Oh, it's at 10 a.m. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, thanks.
Yeah, I mean, and if you're going to do it synchronous, because you actually have all the flexibility. You could do it synchronous, you could do it asynchronous, you could, you know, give it to them as a document that they have to fill out, kind of like a take-home test, or you could have them open it up whenever they want within that week for them to take it like this. But if you're going to do it synchronous during your Tuesday morning, what time does your class start on Tuesday?
9:05 a.m.
9:05 a.m. So you could actually edit this, if you're going to do it this way, which is probably the best way if you know the way that I'm understanding your parameters, you would open it up at a specific time down here. So the availability,
Oh, sure. Yeah.
and you would make it 9:05 a.m.
It'll be 9:05 a.m. to 11:55 a.m.
Yeah.
And most of the students will need an hour, but if somebody's having trouble, I've already told them that it'll be open during that time, so they know that much about it. They don't know the sausage making that we just did.
Right. So,
but I will tell them about that as well ahead of time.
yeah, so there it's October 6th, and then you could make this October 6th. Sure. They don't need to know that it's still open, but you could have it open until 11:59 a.m. just in case somebody needs to go a little bit longer, but you could manage it that way. Sure. But it wouldn't even be visible to them until they get onto the call with you.
Yeah, they already know they're going to have 3 hours if they need it. And sometimes my experience has been that most students do these exams in an hour or so, and there'll always be one or two who take the full time because they're just being very careful, which is
Right.
fine. That means they've learned more and they have more, more to express.
Great.
So it's very helpful.
Yeah. So that's how you could do it. But yeah, I like this because it's a good way to think through, the different options and how different instructors are wanting to give an exam. And, it's nice to know that there's actually some flexibility in terms of just sending it to them kind of like a take home, but still using the platform, still using Canvas for them to upload. But it just depends on the discipline. Some instructors, they want to be right there with them, kind of like what you're going to be doing. For me, I'm going to give them the whole week and they could start that 90-minute exam at any time
Sure.
during that week. So.
Sure. The other thing, I'm glad that you mentioned the alternative to, just to send a document, to upload a document, because if there is a student, I've had usually often there'll be one student that just has, for some reason, well, I had a student who had she was distressed. I says, how are you doing? She says, not really terribly good. I said, well, what's wrong? She said, my car was broken into and my laptop, everything I got was stolen. The cops are working on it. But, if you have, to make a long story short, if you have a student who has some irreparable problem with Canvas, and
Right.
you're on a synchronous, you've declared that this is synchronous, or the university's declared, okay, John, you're going to be fully synchronous. So I can shoot the paper copy, make sure that I have it in paper form as well. And I can, if that student calls me and says, I can't get in this thing, then I can shoot that student a paper copy.
Right.
Say, please, you have to ship this back to me by 11:59 this morning.
Right. Yeah. And that's actually just what
for safety net.
Yeah, no, it's good. And you will absolutely, I know with the 40 students, I already have some students that have some issues that they've shared with me. What I just created was a separate folder within Canvas called Midterm Makeup, because one of them's going to miss it. It's just going to happen. So I just loaded up an old midterm, chose the file. I'll add the item. So now it's sitting there, but I don't have to make it nobody can see it until I make it visible. Mm-hmm. And I think, so right here, this send to, I'm pretty sure I can send that to a specific student, so that they're the only ones that can see it. So you can create a folder that is only accessible for a particular student, and that you can do different things like that with the quizzes, the midterms, the tests, because of accommodations, you could give one student more time than the other.
Yep.
So this would allow them to do that. So this is kind of the format. You just have the file, and then you tell them when they need to turn it in. Good.
Excellent.
Awesome. Well, I'm glad that we'll meet up again on Monday, and that way you'll have a little bit more time to think through it, and I'm sure you'll come up with something that'll be a nice little thing for me to try to figure out, which is always, it's fun for me. I prefer it that way, because then I get to dig and see how things can work.
That's a very positive attitude, Damien.
I try. I'm gonna stop the recording.
Sure.